for you at 4:05 next week on CITV. Was down to these things. Midges. Little gnats that are like tiny flies. Now, as you can see here, dense clouds of them can gather together in a shimmering mass and hover over water. Now, it sounds daft, but on that day, there had been a dense cloud of midges hovering over the drainage outlet that lay at the end of Nuns Walk. Now, they had created the illusion of some sort of figure. But why were the midges and gnats only visible when the lights were turned off? Well, the cloud of gnats showed up because of the bright sunlight behind them. Now, gnats are so tiny and see-through that when the bright television lights were turned on, they became invisible.
It's a mystery how we learn. Here, Tristan, have a go at this.
No problem.
Give us a tune, matey.
Yeah.
Plectrum? Plectrum?
Oh, hey! Oh, turn it off!
I didn't recognise that one, did you?
I'll have a go at this.
So I can't
See if I can do any better. Right, there we go. Let's try this then. There you go. I learnt that ages ago.
I was going to say, OK, so you're better than Tristan at playing the guitar, but have a go at this. Neil.
Are you sure?
Juggling balls, go on.
OK, here we go,
Have a go. And go.
Nah, no good.
Wonderful. Right.
Yeah.
Tristan, go on.
I learnt this a
Show us what you
long
made
while
of.
ago.
There we go.
It's a little tune my mama used to play me.
Yeah, you should be in the circus. Look at that.
You see, we all learn to do different things, and once we've learned them, we don't usually forget them. But the mystery is, how do we learn?
Well, human beings are designed to start learning from a very young age. In fact, there is evidence to suggest that unborn babies learn to recognise their own mother's voice from inside the womb.
And whoever said you learn something new every day was dead right. We're constantly learning new facts and information and skills. But it's not something you do just while you're at school or college. Learning is something that goes on all the time.
But what actually happens inside your head as you learn? Well, your brain has over 10 billion nerve cells, and it's the connections between these nerve cells that are important.
So, here's a head and here's the brain. Now, if you think of the cells in the brain as dots, when you do learn something new, the pathways between these dots or cells join up, a bit like a dot to dot. Now, every time you learn something new, you strengthen different pathways. In fact, by the time you're older, your brain cells will have made millions and millions of different connections to each other because of all the things that you've learned.
Right, Tristan, can I please use you for a demonstration?
Absolutely.
Come here. Now, here we've got 2 plates of sweeties, OK?
Yeah?
One's nice and one's nasty.
OK.
A bit like you and me, really. I'd like you to choose one.
All right.
All right?
OK.
OK.
I'm going to take the orange one.
Have an orange sweetie.
That was disgusting. Thanks a lot for that.
That's all right.
Sorry about that, mate.
Never going to take...
that had hot chili powder in it.
I'm not eating another one of your orange sweets ever again.
But exactly, you see, the point is, the mystery orange sweet was so disgusting that you'd never eat it again, right? In other words, you've learnt something new to recognise and avoid orange sweeties next time you see them. So that's learning something fairly simple. But what happens when it comes to learning more difficult things, like juggling or playing the guitar? How come you don't really forget them once you've learnt them?
Well, the reason you never forget skills like this is that you don't just do them once. You practice and practice, repeating the actions many times until it comes natural.
It's quite simple. The more time you spend learning, the better your results. And believe it or not, there are a few things you can do which might increase your ability to learn.
You can help keep your brain in tip-top condition by eating things that are good for you, like fruit and vegetable, which are stuffed full of vitamins.
Well, how about fish, for example, which lots of people call good brain food because it's stuffed with proteins and nutrients.
And, believe it or not, regular learning increases the brain power. So actually doing your homework is good for you. In other words, use it or lose it.
It's a mystery how you can discover buried treasure. Using a metal detector? An old pirate's map? Nah, Tristan's got an incredible tale of discovery.
Some years ago, in the famous seaside town of Margate, a school was undergoing some building work. One of the workmen was busy doing some cementing when he accidentally dropped his trowel down what he thought was a disused well. Rather than leave the trowel in the well, he decided to call on the school headmaster, Mr. Newlove, to see if he had any bright ideas on how to get the trowel back.
Well, it's down there somewhere.
Well, how are we going to get it back?
I'm really sorry about that.
After a while, they came up with the perfect solution. Mr. Newlove fetched his son, showed him the hole, and asked him to go in and have a look.
As you can see, it's a small hole, and I certainly wouldn't fit in there, but I think you'll be all right.
Is it very deep?
No, you'll be fine, Josh. Just be careful.
After a few minutes in the hole, the boy resurfaced with the trowel. He had this look of absolute amazement on his face.
What is it? What have you seen?
He was absolutely gobsmacked. So, Mr. Newlove peered inside too.
I've never seen anything like it.
Realising that he could make a lot of money out of what he could see, he immediately swore his son to secrecy.
Josh, you mustn't tell anyone about this. This will be our secret.
He then set about buying the land above and around it until eventually he owned it all.
So what was down that hole? Why on earth was it worth buying all the land around it as well? Could it have been some sort of disused ancient well full of golden sovereigns? Or was it the place where local pirates would stash their buried treasure? What do you think?
Well, the mystery is solved. What they'd been looking down all those years ago was this hole. And what they discovered was this special place, a room covered in shells, thousands and thousands of them. But what is it? Well, it's said to be around 2,000 years old, and there's no other place in Britain quite like it. It's now known to thousands of interested visitors as Shell Grotto, nestled in the depths of Grotto Hill in Margate. And on all the walls are a myriad of intricate patterns, painstakingly crafted from millions of shells. They cover every square centimetre of wall and ceiling.
So the man and his son did hit upon some real buried treasure. What an amazing find. But what was it for?
Well, although you could mistake this for an Aladdin's cave, I'm standing in what archaeologists think is some kind of ancient stone temple, possibly dating back to pre-Roman times. Now, if you take a good look around, there are quite a few clues. At the base of this large dome here, there are 3 alcoves, where it's thought the people who looked after it may have stood. When you look at the entrance to the whole grotto, there's this magnificent rotunda, a kind of roundabout with 2 paths that curve right and left. Now, this idea was found in many ancient temples, and in here the walls are covered in symbols and signs that appear to relate to life on Earth. Next you enter a serpentine passage, which leads you into the largest part of the grotto. Now this is probably the main reason behind the subterranean labyrinth. It's called the altar room, and they think it's the focal point of the entire grotto. Now this archway here shows the moon below the sun, and on either side a 4-pointed star. Now unfortunately over the years the shells have lost their original vivid colours, but when the grotto was first created they would have looked something like this.
Wow, what a brilliant place.
It was incredible being inside there.
Yeah, but I think it's a bit dodgy. I mean, going down a hole, I wouldn't do something like that. It's a bit dangerous,
Yeah,
isn't
now
it?
look, do us a favour, don't go climbing into any holes in the ground. It can actually be very dangerous.
Yeah, but just think, if the workman hadn't dropped his trowel down the hole, Shell Grotto may never have been discovered.
Here's a mystery about an incredible road up in Scotland. It's a phenomena that is unique in the UK.
Hi, I'm Dawn.
Hi, I'm Karen. And I'm Lindsay. We live in Ayrshire, and there's a road in our area which has a mysterious secret.
To the casual observer, the A719 looks like any other road. The road appears to be sloping downwards, so when cars and bikes come down the road, car drivers tend to ease off their acceleration and cyclists will slow their pedalling, just as they would do normally.
Both suddenly find their speed slowing rapidly, so they have to increase the speed to prevent coming to a complete standstill.
What a weird road. It appears to go downwards. But when cars and bikes are going down it, instead of getting quicker, they actually get slower. So let's take another look at that shot of the cyclist. There you go. She's rolling downhill, and yet she slows down instead of getting quicker. So what is going on?
This strange occurrence is explained because the drivers and cyclists have just witnessed a naturally occurring optical illusion. Even though the road looks like it's sloping downwards, it actually climbs upwards.
There are many factors that contribute to the optical illusion of the road sloping downwards. For example, the angle of the hedges and fences climbing away from the roads.
When you reach the sign and the countryside changes to more arable fields, it seems to indicate that the road is descending into a more sheltered valley. However, this is not the case.
Bit confusing, isn't it? Well, hang on. Let's take another look at that last driving shot. See that? It really does look as though you're going downhill. But incredibly, you're not. The car is actually going uphill. Now, this weird road is known as the Electric Bray, and as they've just said, the optical illusion is created because of the area surrounding the road. Let me just show you with this model car. Now, if I place the car on this road and let go of it, it should speed up as it goes downhill, but instead, it slows to a stop. And this is because the slope is really going upwards. It's just that we created the illusion so that it looked as if the slope was going downhill. And this is exactly what the countryside does up in Scotland. It creates an optical illusion around the A719 so people think they're going downhill when in actual fact they're going uphill.
Though we've been down this road many times before, us locals still manage to get caught up in the illusion. I've never heard of any other roads quite like the Electric Bray, and as far as I know, it's unique.
It's a mystery how crazy the world is.
What's he talking about? Well, in the next few minutes, we are going to give you a snapshot of just how crazy the world can be. Okay, are you ready?
Yeah, go for it.
Time starts now.
Okay, go Gail, come on.
Yep, the world sure is a crazy place. I mean, when you think about it, it's just a huge ball spinning around in space. Some scientists reckon it's 4,600 million years old.
And you know, it's crazy what goes on in this world of ours. For example, let's start with the UK. What's crazy about the UK? Well, just come over here and watch some telly.
And here are the headlines today. Did you know that collectively Britons watch 26,000 years of TV a night? And the average Briton watches 11 solid years of TV before they die.
See? Crazy, aren't we?
Okay, next stop is... oh, America. There it is, land of plenty. And what's America famous for? No, not the Stars and Stripes, not the Statue of Liberty, but junk food. I know this may be difficult to digest, but every day Americans are said to chomp their way through 7 million pizzas, 15 million burgers, and about exactly the same in ice cream. And 5 of those Americans, ouch, managed to damage themselves on supermarket trolleys.
Silly stuff. Right, come on, keep it going. Where to next? How about... there we go. Cyprus.
What's crazy about Cyprus?
Well, eggs are what's crazy about Cyprus. Believe it or not, the whole world's population of hens lays nearly 2 billion eggs every day, and that's enough to make an omelette 140 miles wide, which is about as big as the island of Cyprus.
Talking of the whole world, every day around 400,000 babies are born into the world, and together they weigh 500 tons.
So, there you go. We've just proved some of the crazy things that go on in this world.
When you take a closer look. Phew, just made it. Well, that's it. Some more of life's mysteries solved and many more remain.
Guys, I've got one last mystery for you. What's the correct thing to say? The yolk of an egg are white, or the yolk of an egg is white?
The yolk of an egg, I can't be
No,
are
it's
white.
not
It's now
are white.
singular, isn't it? The
It's
yolk of
white.
an egg is white.
Yeah, go on. Yep.
The yolk of an egg isn't white.
Is Mystery.
We're in Scotland,
And this is historic Glamis Castle.
and on today's show...
How did a